We're gonna go ahead and get started. So I would love to introduce myself. My name is Amber Swift. You're going to hear from Cara in just a few minutes after me. So my name is Amber Swift. I am a women's health specialist trained in integrated nutrition, functional health, and also traditional Chinese medicine, but all from a biblical worldview. Like I said, I have five children. They range in age from 25. I can't believe I'm saying this. I have a 25-year-old. Where did the time go? All the way down to 16. So my husband and I are very quickly approaching that massive life change. And then we also have two grandchildren. Um, but so one of the greatest joys of my life has been raising my family. And then I was so honored to begin this business about 6 years ago because it has just been such a gift to walk women through from survival mode to thriving. And we will be talking about that today, going from survival mode to thriving. And that's what we want. So, my goal for you today is simple. I want you to live. I want you to leave understanding your body in a way that makes sense and knowing what your next step is. Because so many of the women that come to me, they come to me just surviving. They come to me just barely making it and not feeling like themselves again. They feel like they're like almost like a shadow of the woman that they once were. And sometimes we can get to that point where we're just going along in life, we're doing all of the things and we're busy. But then when we have these quiet moments, we just think, my goodness, what happened to the woman that I once was? It reminds me of a recent woman I talked to, and she said, Amber, she said, I used to be so kind and fun loving and patient, and now I feel like I'm snappy, I am easily angered, and I am just not feeling like me. And I want to tell you that you don't have to live like that and that there is a better way. And so we're definitely going to be talking about that today. So let's go ahead and get started. If you don't have a pen and paper, I recommend you grab that. If you have a cup of tea, drink that. Let's just sit down together and let's just talk about what it looks like to heal from the inside out. So the goal is to be on the same page and for you to leave with just really just good, solid steps to move forward, right? No guessing. So first, what I would love for you to do, because if you're anything like me, if you're on a laptop, you have a bunch of windows open. So I want you to go ahead and close those so that you can focus. Go ahead and silence your phone and just kind of focus. Let's focus and reset and give your health and life the attention it deserves. So let's go ahead and jump right into this. So, what I want to do in these few minutes that we have together is to show you how to go from feeling drained, overwhelmed, and just not like yourself to energized, calm, and peaceful. Let me know in the chat today where you are with your energy. Is it one, I have absolutely none, or 10, I feel amazing? Go ahead and let me know in the chat how you are doing today with your energy levels. I want to see that. Let's see. Okay. One, I have been there. Eight, that's awesome. One, seven, seven, eight, awesome. Three. Okay, so for those of you who are your energy levels are just through the roof, this is awesome. I love that. You need to let everybody here know what your secret is. And for those of you who are saying, I'm just making it, I got you. I got you. Let's do this. Okay, so if you feel like your body has changed and you just feel like you are not who you once were, one, I do want to tell you that with every decade, there is changes. And so we do have to flex and know how to handle those changes. I'm 48, I'm almost into my 50s. And so every single decade does look different. So you're definitely not imagining it if you are noticing just some changes. But I want to say this is that so often when, as a busy woman who loves her life and loves her family and loves her friends well, you find that where there once was a green light, maybe there's a flashing yellow light. And if you don't pay attention to those signals, to what your body is communicating, those yellow flashing lights become a blaring red light. And so, what we want to figure out is what those lights mean before it becomes a red light. Because if this was all about discipline, I know that you would already be operating at 100% because every single woman that I work with they are some of the most disciplined women I have ever met. They are the women that every organization wants with them, wants volunteering, wants working. They're so disciplined. So there was a time, I just want to tell you a little bit about my background. There was a time where I was doing all of the right things. I was eating a very healthy paleo diet. I had raised all five of my children holistically. I was trying to stay disciplined. I was using supplements. And then I added on a really popular detox. I was trying this exercise, no, that exercise. And I was still feeling bloated and foggy and exhausted and just achy and miserable. And I was just not like myself. And this was a decade ago. And what I discovered, it really changed everything because my body didn't need more effort. I didn't need more discipline. I needed the right answers. I needed answers that were specific and unique to me as an individual. And that changed everything for me. So maybe this sounds like a little familiar. You're doing the best to take care of yourself. You're trying to eat better. You're making healthier choices. Maybe you're even, you're slowing down a little bit, but just something still feels off in your body. You're exhausted. And even if you wake up in the morning, maybe you still feel exhausted. And your physical health doesn't feel consistent. Your emotions don't feel consistent. Your sleep, your hormones, just everything just feels kind of out of sync. And maybe the most frustrating part is that you just don't feel like yourself anymore. I know exactly how that feels. I walked through that. I was trying everything. And then I added on a popular detox, and my body just could not handle it. And I was miserable. And but I'm not there anymore. And that's what I do want to tell each one of you. I'm not there anymore. And I have helped so many women go from complete survival mode to thriving. And I know that you can too. So if this sounds helpful to you, would you just let me know in the chat, like with a thumbs up, this is helpful. So often when we're in these times of life, we just begin to think, I need to try harder. And then we begin to Google all of our symptoms or follow the latest fad, which there's a ton of them, or do what our best friend's doing. And we just keep trying more. But here's what I do want you to know. This is not a discipline problem. This is a communication problem. There is something going on at the root of all of your symptoms. So picture this, if you had a potted plant and it was showing all of these symptoms, like the leaves were a little brown and it just didn't look as healthy. And if you just started pouring fertilizer over it, but you never lifted it out to see that the roots were rotten, it wouldn't help. But yet that's so often what we do with our health and our wellness. And when I say health and wellness, I'm talking about physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, because we're a whole being, right? We're not just little pieces. So maybe this could be a couple of the symptoms. So these are the symptoms that I see in my practice over and over again. I see anxiousness that won't go away and is unexplainable. I see women who are reactive, and they think, oh my goodness, this is not who I normally am. I'm incredibly just overreactive. Brain fog, struggling to remember, word recall, maybe lack of motivation and drive. Like you just feel like, ugh, like everything feels like you're going up a hill. Just it's hard. Or maybe gut issues that look like bloating, diarrhea, constipation, just feeling just gross around your middle, maybe weight gain around your middle, feeling disconnected from life, just kind of emotionally flat, disconnected in your relationships with the people that you love the most. You just don't feel as engaged and maybe even feeling a little distant from God. And you don't have to stay there. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what some of those root causes are. We can't really go over all of them today, but I'm going to hit three main ones because I want you to move into this beautiful season of your life feeling confident, joyful, and peaceful, and just feeling like you. So these are the three main root causes that I see in a lot of my clients: gut dysfunction, cortisol dysregulation, and just a nervous system that's kind of running hot. And so we're just going to jump right into this. So, gut dysfunction. So, what does that look like? Well, first, we have to acknowledge that your gut is so much more than just food going in and coming out, basically, digestion. Your gut actually has over 100 million nerve endings, and I'm sure there's even more, right? And that's even more than your spinal cord. And so that shows how important your gut and it's functioning well, how important it is. So your gut is continually communicating with your brain. And what we want is that to be a clear communication, right? So, but the thing is that when your gut is not functioning well, everything is thrown off. It affects your hormones. It affects your energy. It affects your mood. It affects your entire body. So when your gut looks off, this is kind of what it can look like. It can look like bloating, food sensitivities, brain fog, fatigue, skin issues, anxiety, being overreactive, achy body. This is just to name a few. These are just a few of the symptoms of gut dysfunction. Do you see yourself in any of these things? Go ahead and let me know in the chat if you're like, oh, wow, that's me. So this is what I see that most women miss is that you can be eating a healthy diet, but if your gut is not functioning well, your body isn't absorbing what it needs because we're not only what we eat, we're also what our body is absorbing. So what happens is that when there's like this disconnect and your gut is not functioning well, you stay depleted even when you're doing everything right. Because the key is to identifying what is keeping your body from functioning the way it was designed. So kind of picture it like identifying what is keeping your gut from operating well, removing that, and then giving it what it needs. So a couple of um, just things that could be keeping your gut from operating well could be one, I always say it's either an internal stressor or it's an external stressor. So some examples of internal stress could be food that is like poison to you. So a quick example, chia seeds are touted as a superfood. Everybody says eat chia seeds, but for me, it's like poison. It kills my stomach. So, really identifying what is food like medicine for your unique body is imperative. So, that's one internal stressor. And then another internal stressor could be a hidden gut infection, like parasites, viruses, bacterial overgrowth, fungal overgrowth, just to name a few. There's a lot more, but those are just a few of the top ones. Or so we covered a couple of internal stressors, or it could be external stressors like environmental toxins, relationships that are like toxic, they're toxic relationships. Um, it's just what is happening is it's this constant pressure that your body is carrying every single day. And it's either internal or it's external. And what happens is your gut, it doesn't know how to respond to what you're eating because it's not functioning correctly. So think about that. Your gut doesn't just respond to what you're eating, but it also responds to how you live. Isn't that amazing? Like, I don't know about you guys, but when I was being raised, I just thought, food was food. We just eat whatever and it was calories in, calories out, and that it had no indication on the actual quality of my health. I just wasn't taught that. And so it's amazing when you really look at getting your gut functioning well at optimum. It really isn't just what you're eating, it's also how you live. And so until we identify what is the internal stressor and what is the external stressor, you'll just keep struggling and needing to identify. We have to identify what is causing the internal stress on your gut and what is causing the external stress. So, because we want to be just feeling our best, right? So, let's go over another route that I see with so many of my clients, cortisol dysregulation. And so, we are hearing this everywhere, right? Everywhere, cortisol, cortisol. What is cortisol? It's so funny because, in the health and wellness world, there's just these buzzwords and there's these fads, and cortisol has definitely been one recently in the last couple of years. So, okay, so let's just talk about what it is. So, cortisol is your body's primary stress hormone. And for many women, it's not just high, it's dysregulated. So what does that look like? I'll use my own health as an example. So when I had my health crisis 10 years ago, my cortisol levels were completely dysregulated. So, what does that look like? So, picture cortisol. It's supposed to work like the sun. So, right in the morning, the sun is coming up and then it peaks and it goes down. And so, we want our cortisol levels to kind of follow that. And what happened for me was that mine was flipped. And that's what happens with a lot of women. A lot of women have completely dysregulated cortisol. And so we want to regulate that. Now, why does that even matter? So the reason it matters is because think of your hormones, right? We all talk about hormones, especially once you hit your 30s. It seems like we talk about it a lot. But your hormones operate in like a cascading effect. And I'm going to show you a picture of this in just a couple of slides. But think about your hormones working with pregnenolone at the top. That is your master hormone. It's your building block. Well, then it flows down to cortisol. Now, here's the problem. What we want is for it to go from pregnenolone to cortisol, all at healthy levels, and then to flow to all the other hormones. And we have a lot of them. We all know about progesterone, estrogen, and testosterone, but there's many more. And so we want it to naturally go like a waterfall from pregnenolone to cortisol to all of the rest. Well, if cortisol is too high and it's dysregulated, it then becomes a thief. So when your body is under chronic stress, it completely prioritizes survival. And so that means it just keeps producing cortisol and it has to pull the resources away from all of your other hormones. So do you see why sometimes you feel like a crazy woman? So this is called, I like to call this the cortisol thief because it's like he's stealing from all of the other hormones. So instead of supporting your balanced hormones where you feel calm and energized and peaceful, your body is constantly just trying to keep up with stress. And so that's where so many symptoms like these begin to come. Headaches, migraines, anybody? Bloating, acne, weight gain around the middle. because now your hormones are completely out of balance. And for most women, that doesn't happen overnight. It's years. It's the result of years of going, being on all the time, saying yes to everybody. And I know that Cara is going to go over some of these things, but just always being on and never being off. And so that leads to even more symptoms like energy crashes, poor sleep, hormone imbalance, that weight gain, the just feeling wired all the time. So this is the thing. We were created to handle stress, but we weren't created to live in a state of stress 24/7. So that's why it's so important to address that. So here's a third root cause that I see, and this actually is not addressed a lot, is your nervous system. So when I was diagnosed with chronic stress, I was told my nervous system was running hot. And this is why it's so important, because when your body feels unsafe and overwhelmed, it shifts into just protection mode. And then what happens is your digestion slows down, hormones become imbalanced, inflammation increases, healing gets put just kind of on hold. Because when your body doesn't feel safe, it literally goes into survival mode, and digestion, you're not going to digest your food. You're not going to have balanced hormones. Your body doesn't prioritize brain function. It is literally surviving. So all of those symptoms, when you're in chronic stress, all of these symptoms just pop up. Your body needs to know that it is safe in order to heal, because naturally your body detoxifies naturally and your body heals naturally. But when it doesn't feel safe, it won't do any of these things. So that's why we want to address our gut health, our cortisol levels, and our nervous system, because none of your symptoms are random. Your body is just asking for support. And that is what we want to give it. See, this is the picture. I wanted you to see this. Your hormones work in a cascading effect. Picture this as a massive waterfall with pregnenolone at the top, going down to cortisol, and then all the rest. And we want this to be a natural flow so that you can be that thriving woman, and your body, we want your body to feel safe, and we want your gut to work well. And so that's what the goal is, right? Okay, so how do we do this? How do we actually figure out how to balance out our gut dysfunction, our cortisol dysregulation, and our hormones? So this is a picture of a woman's tongue. And I wanted to give you a real life example of just one way that you can get to the root of your symptoms. Because everything that we just talked about, your gut health, your cortisol, and your nervous system all have a root cause. And they are, right? They're symptoms, they're signals. And so what we need to do is get to what is going on below the surface for you as an individual. So this woman took this picture of her tongue, and this is just one of the ways that I help my clients get to the root of what they are struggling with. I use tongue analysis along with functional labs, facial analysis. I do a lot of journaling with them, and just really get to the root, because there's no two women alike. And your body is created by God uniquely, unlike anybody else's. And so we can't follow a generic plan, right? So here we go. So, all right. So when I look at this, what I see, if you'll look right here, this is a very pale tongue. And so this often signifies like a blood deficiency. And so right here are her three top symptoms: anxiousness, lethargy, and she's struggling with focus. And this is what's so fascinating, is that you're going to see how this tongue analysis points to a lot of her symptoms. So, all right, so a pale tongue often is associated with blood deficiency. And so some of the common symptoms with that are fatigue and dizziness, a pale complexion, maybe feeling cold, like your extremities are cold, low energy, and feeling weak. And then she has a few cracks, not too many, which that's good. When you see cracking on your tongue, that indicates dehydration and an internal environment that's really dry. And the thing is, the body wants to be balanced. So it doesn't want to be too dry and it doesn't want to be too cold. So we want to have that balance. And then you see this kind of rippling right here. So this signifies like a swollen tongue, and that often is associated with spleen deficiency. And oftentimes, symptoms that go with that are bloating after meals, loose stools, losing like a low appetite, fatigue, brain fog. So, when you put all that together, we're seeing a spleen deficiency, poor digestion, and she's struggling with nutrient absorption, fatigue, low energy. And so, all of that goes together. So, what I would recommend for this woman is I would recommend that she eats warming foods, right? So often in the summer, we end up wanting to eat really cold, icy things. But the thing is that once again, the body wants to be balanced. And so she would want to eat warming foods, nourishing foods like beef and bone broth, eggs, sweet potatoes, squash, cooked carrots, like roasted carrots, really staying away from icy cold drinks, staying away from excess sugar, and really working on staying hydrated throughout the day. My three top herb supplements that I would recommend to her are ashwagandha, which I love because this helps. This is an adaptogenic herb. It helps your body to adapt to the stress that it's under, and that addresses internal stress and external. So it's a great herb. I would recommend a good high quality probiotic. Now, there is a caveat to that. If she had any type of a hidden gut infection, like a candida overgrowth, I would not recommend a probiotic. I would recommend cleaning up that gut infection first and then adding in the probiotic. And then magnesium, I always struggle with this word, magnesium glycinate. I always want to say glycinate, but glycinate, really just to help calm the central nervous system down, promote a good, peaceful rest to help prepare her for the day. And then my two top essential oils that I would recommend would be adaptive, because this helps your body adapt to stress. And then balance, which helps balance out the right and left brain because she's struggling with focus. So this is just one of the modalities that I use. And so I know this, that there is something driving your symptoms, because we are not all the same, right? And so I wanted you to see this, that um there's a root cause to your symptoms. They're not random. It is imperative that you get to the root of your symptoms. And so, what I would love to do is offer each one of you, I would like to invite you to my Set for Life membership, where in this membership, the women love the Lord and are trying to take care of their health. And I meet with them once a month right now. We're going to twice a month in August. They also have access to me and they have discounts to all of my services. And for being here today, I also wanted to offer you a 15-minute review um, to go over your symptoms. So I dropped the link right here for you. And drop any questions you have, because I was not able to pick up on any questions and I will answer them. So go ahead and get booked in for your free review and also to sign up for my Set for Life membership. And we are going to be gifting a woman a free membership to my membership and also Cara's. And click this link And we are going to go ahead and get set up to have Cara come and talk with us. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen.
Just let me know when you did it. Did you stop, Sarah? I mean, Amber.
Yes, yes. And I'm going to go ahead and get you set up now. There we go.
Can you now? Can you hear me? Yes? Okay. Not sure what happened there. Do you hear me, Amber? Yes? Okay, do you see my screen? Yes? Okay. All right. So, um, first of all, I just want to give Amber a little applause. Incredible and super voice.
Hey, Cara, you're really cutting in and
My
out.
voice right now because oh, it's I'm gonna power through here. The woman beneath the survival mode. We're gonna be talking about some of those same things. Can you hear me? Everything looks good on my end, so I'm not sure what is going on.
Hey, Cara,
Yeah.
it keeps
Can
saying
you
that
still can you hear me?
I can, but it keeps saying your bandwidth is low.
Really? Everything looks fine on my end, so I'm not sure what's going on.
That's actually better now.
Okay. Well, it seems like I don't know, like when I share my screen, then everything gets wonky. Okay, well, let me try it again. Okay, much better. Let's pray that it stays better. Okay. Just let me know if you can hear me and if you can see my screen. Can you let me know, Amber? Because I don't see the chat. It's not showing me the chat.
Okay, I see your screen.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna get to it because we just used 5 minutes now trying to figure it out. So If you don't know me yet, my name is Cara Nitz, and I'm a marriage and femininity trauma-informed certified coach. I'm also a mom of five, just like Amber, and I've been coaching women since I can remember. Absolutely love it. It's an honor. And I've been married for 20 years to my husband, Adam, and walked through a lot of pain, a lot of what you guys are experiencing. I have also walked through. And so I'm excited to kind of jump in a little bit to getting what's underneath, what's going on underneath. Why are you experiencing those things? So I know Amber kind of touched on some of these things already. Raise your hand if you are, feeling that where you're always tired, you're emotionally numb. Maybe you just feel like you're checked out, like you just can't give any more to all the things that you're carrying. Maybe you don't even recognize yourself anymore, just like Amber was talking about, where you miss that woman that you used to be. And you feel like you're not really someone that you want to be anymore. So survival mode, which is kind of what Amber was talking about with the nervous system and the cortisol. Survival mode isn't who you are. It is when your body, when your nervous system goes to this more self-protective state, right? You're living from protection instead of living from peace. And it's when your mind, your body, and your heart become so overwhelmed that you begin operating from fear, control, or shutdown instead of the wholeness that God created you to live from. So it's not something that you're purposely trying to do. It's something that is happening inside of you because you are so overwhelmed. And in three ways that survival mode is stuck, because nobody wants to stay there. I know you don't want to stay there. I know you're like, I don't want more. But often we get stuck there and we don't know how to move out. So it keeps you stuck. The first one is it just has relationships. I noticed we're wondering, we're wanting to, have your marriage or experience more peaceful relationship. But what happens when we're in survival mode is we stop feeling that our nervous system says, no more. I don't want to experience this anymore. And so our walls go up, walls keep us from being able to receive the love that's being offered to us. And so instead, we're in this more kind of defensive and bracing, guarded. Think about like, putting on armor to go to battle, right? Your nervous system is like, we've gotta always be ready for the next battle. Like we are protecting, we're ready. And so you're always scanning, right? You're looking for the enemy, you're looking for what might be dangerous. And you're scanning for disappointment or rejection, another conflict, right? Or maybe it's what you think needs to be fixed so that you feel okay. And you're in that more constant stress, right? That cortisol's up all the time, always trying to be aware of what's going on. It also disconnects you from yourself. So you become so focused on managing everything, right? You've got so much going on that you stop noticing what you need. Right? You're not able to take that time and that space to come back to your body and notice what you enjoy or how you even truly feel. A lot of women that I work with, when I first meet them, a lot of them, they don't know how they feel. They don't know how to express what that is. They don't even know how to name it. Excuse me. So this is a big part, this being disconnected from yourself. And when we're in that go mode and we're always trying to help everybody else, we're always trying to take care of everything. This is one of the most important things that we want to come back to is connecting to ourselves again. Then the third one is, can you guys see this? There's this window in your way. It's in my way, but I'll move it. So the third one is it keeps you reacting instead of healing. And so instead of taking this intentional time and feeling safe to start that process of healing, you're constantly putting out fires, right? Remember, you're ready for battle. And so you're on guard, you're looking for where there's going to be more pain, and it doesn't leave you any space to process your emotions or to heal what's underneath, to really start to notice and see what's going on inside of you. So let's talk about your capacity because this is a big part of it. And I want you to think about this as like a bank account, right? with your bank account, you make deposits and you make withdrawals. And if you withdraw too much and you don't have enough in the bank, right, because you didn't make enough deposits, you're going to be in big trouble. And it's kind of the same way here. Like when the stress in your life is making more withdrawals than deposits, then your body eventually says, like, I can't do this anymore. Like I'm going into shutdown, right? You're in this survival mode, and it's like you hit a point, and some of you might be there, and I'd love to hear if you are, because that matters. It really matters, and it's important for you to acknowledge that for yourself too. I think a lot of times we also get into that place where it's like we don't even want to acknowledge what's really going on inside of us. We're just trying to put on that brave face. We're just trying to be the strong one, and so we don't even really acknowledge it even for ourselves. But it's kind of like a bucket of water. Like that's another example where you're pouring, right? Maybe the water is on into the bucket, but there are so many holes so that water is escaping even faster than you can fill it. And so it's important to know what those withdrawals are. And I gave just a few examples here, right? Not enough sleep or rest, inflammatory foods, perfectionism, trying to earn your worth by doing, ignoring your own needs, over functioning, right? Over explaining, carrying these unhealed wounds from early on in your life. These things that we don't even often realize. Like when I was going through, and I'll talk about it in a minute, but when I was going through some of the most survival mode, overwhelmed state of my life, I had no idea. I thought it was all about food, and sleep maybe. Like, okay, I'll give sleep some credit. I need some more sleep too. But I had no idea that it was so much more about some of the stories and the beliefs that I held as well, and how those were impacting me. So there's two optional routes there, right? When the stress that you're experiencing is combined with the rest, right? When you're depositing enough in your bank account to counteract the withdrawals, then you will see growth, because stress in itself is not bad. But when we have so much stress, and when our body is in this constant state of that cortisol, right? That cortisol is being output, 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 and we're living in that state. Our nervous system, right, is dysregulated, and we're in self-protection, and we're not resting, we're not finding safety. Then we have, right, the overwhelm of the shutdown. When you're experiencing too much too fast, your body goes into overwhelm. When you're experiencing too little for too long, that is also just as unhelpful and just as damaging for your physical health and your emotional, all of it. And so I want you to think about, where in life have you experienced either one of these? That experiencing too much too fast, right? Like think about that as like a car accident. You get in a car accident, it is so much trauma, right? All in a second, all in a matter of a second. And your physical health might be impacted, your mental, your emotional, right? All of that. That's not the only example, right, of too much too fast. I'll give you some other ones in the next slide, but or too little for too long, where you're not getting enough rest, you're not getting enough of your needs met, you're not getting enough safety, and that for too long also can create shutdown in your body. So a little bit into my story. I came into marriage with a lot of trauma from my childhood. There was a lot of trauma, and I had no idea. I thought I was just fine. Like, okay, sure, I'm a little, there's some things there. Everybody has them, right? But I had no idea the pain that I was carrying. And then when we got married, wasn't pleasant. If you've listened to my podcast, from the honeymoon on, it was very hard, very challenging. And my husband was more of a people pleaser. He was more of the nice guy, where it's just like, whatever you want, honey, which everybody thinks is like, oh, that's so great. Like, what a nice guy. But for me, and for any of you who've experienced that, that's not nice at all. It puts this mental and emotional burden on you. And it's so much, it's too much for you to carry. It really is. And then I got pregnant. I was breastfeeding. I was postpartum for years and years and years. And that alone is a lot of physical stress. But then I was also a personal trainer. And so I was teaching a lot of fitness classes, and I was doing my own workouts, and it was just too much. But I had a lot of these stories in my head about, like, I can do it all. And I ran my own business, and I had all these babies, and it was just a lot of physical stress as well. And then in our marriage, again, coming back to that people pleasing nice guy, he didn't ever want to tell the truth. So he was, trust kept getting broken in our marriage. He would tell me one thing and then he would do something else. Or he wouldn't keep what he said he was going to do. And there was this lack of consistency. I felt no safety. I could not relax into him. I felt like I had to be the strong one. I was the consistent one. I was the one that people could count on. And he was just kind of like a helper, or he was almost like another child that I had to manage, really. And so I lived in this survival mode for years. And eventually it led to adrenal fatigue for me, which Amber was kind of talking a little bit about, how the cortisol impacts the hormones. And that's what I'm talking about there with adrenal issues. And so for me, the too little, too long looked like too little support, right? I didn't have it. I was the support for everybody else, but I didn't have that support. I also didn't ask for that support. So that was part of it, right? Was that I'm living in this self-protective state where I'm not receiving. I'm not interested in receiving. I'm just trying to handle it all, to feel okay. Too little rest, too little consistency, too little emotional safety, and too little pursuit. My husband and I also had a major lack of attraction because of the like feminine masculine dynamic there, because I was not attracted to a man who I didn't feel like I could get any support from, other than if I asked him. And so I was not attracted to him. He wasn't pursuing me. He was, kind of that more passive energy of just, whatever, I'll follow you. You're leading, I'll follow you with whatever. And so that was a really painful thing for me. I felt unloved. I felt like I didn't matter to him. And there was a lot of that. And that really was very damaging as well. And then too much, too fast, a lot of unhealthy communication and conflicts. And then that physical, emotional, mental stress as well. It was just so much, especially in that span of when I was, pregnant, breastfeeding, pregnant again, right? Delivering, had some very traumatic births as well. And that was also on that too much, too fast. So I went to a naturopathic doctor. I needed help because I was experiencing some of the things Amber was talking about. I was having weekly migraines and allergies. My immune system was so weak. I was not feeling like the woman I was. I was so short tempered. Everything was upsetting to me. I'll give you some examples coming up. But what she was trying to do was give me things to support my body. But what we really need, we need that support, right? It can help you get through the day. But when we get deeper healing, that changes how your body, your mind, and your heart respond to the stress and the day. And that is so key, because I went to her for years, actually. And then I spent years after I saw her, and I still, my body was getting healed because there was so much inner wounds, right? Unhealed emotional wounds and things like that weren't getting healed. And so that's really what I work with women on is stress management, right? It can calm the symptoms, but we want to do healing that addresses the root. And healing really restores your capacity for peace, joy, connection, and pleasure, which are things that you're probably like, I wouldn't use those words to describe me. I don't feel peaceful. I don't feel joyful. I don't feel connected. I don't feel like I'm enjoying pleasure. And those are things that absolutely I want you to be experiencing on a daily basis. I really do. That's what thriving feels like. And I want you to get back to that. So one thing I want you to ask yourself today, and then also this is something you can ask yourself every day, because I want you to start being present with your body. I want you to come out of, which so many women are in their heads, thinking, fixing, doing, managing. They got the endless to-do list, all the things, right? You're like, he's screaming outside my door. I do this and I have that. And I almost forgot this, right? It's just like so many things. I want you to come back to your body. And I want to invite you to do that right now. Take a deep breath. Maybe put a hand on your heart. Maybe one hand on your belly. And just kind of block out the other stuff. And if thoughts come into your brain, just let them float on out. And I want you to do this. I want you to do this throughout the day. But I want you to invite in more of this presence. But in that presence, I want you to get curious. and ask what's staying, right? Startle. These are different and they respond to stress. So there's like a startle response where, and that's kind of that's the first one. Like, and when I was in survival mode, I would startle easily, right? My kids walked down a chair. I was like, ah, like loud noise, very sensitive loud noises, because I was always on guard and I was all hyper alert. This is where I was also that very snappy, very angry. Like that would make me like, why are you knocking the chair down? We can't. We don't. We have the capacity.
Cara, you just, we can't even see you anymore. I think we lost you.
Oh,
Hey, Cara.
all of a sudden I was talking to nobody. Can you hear
Yeah.
me?
Yes, and we see you now.
Okay. I'm so sorry. I don't know what is happening. Um, all of a sudden you guys were gone. So before I go back to the slides, can you tell me what I was talking about?
Yes, you were talking about when like just being super angry and reactive, just overreactive.
To like the startle response? Was I talking about
Yeah.
the startle response?
Yes.
Okay. All right, let me go back to this then. Okay. Oops, hold on. All right, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So then there's a stress response where maybe it's you're fighting with your husband, right? Things start to feel a little bit like they're a little amped up. You get in an argument with your husband and you find yourself fighting back at him. You're like, how dare you say that about me? Like, I can't believe you'd say that I'm a bad mother, or whatever, right? And so you're feeling in danger and you're trying to fight back against it. That is when your body goes into a stress response. It can look like a lot of different things. Maybe you run away, maybe you leave. That's another coping mechanism for when we're in the stress response. And then what then happens if we're continuing to meet that stress? We Our body will often go into a freeze where physically your body is trying to survive to prevent damage. It's like, I can't take this anymore. There's going to be physical damage inside of us, right? If I don't freeze. And you see this in animals too, where they freeze, right? Or they play dead because they're feeling that danger. And then if it continues, we go into shutdown, where this is our response to something that just feels overwhelming. For me, I remember so many times in my marriage where I just was like, I can't take this anymore. It was unbearable. I just thought, there's no way out. Like, I don't see how this is ever going to get better. And I would go into a shutdown. I would literally curl up in the closet or lay in my bed under the covers, and go into this shutdown response. Um, and so I want you to notice these things in yourself. Where do you feel like you're at? What is your nervous system? What is your body telling you? And then there's peace and rest, right? There's this calm and alive state, which is where I really want you to be, right? That's who you really are. And tell me in the comments, in the chat. I'd love for you to share where you feel like you are, and if anyone's at that peace and rest place, that's incredible. So awareness, right? This is really where healing begins, because if you're not even paying enough attention to your body to know where you're at, then we're not going to start healing. We have to first be attuned to what is going on inside of us and where we're at. What are our needs? How are we doing? So this is so connected to femininity as well, because when you're in survival mode, you are not in a relaxed state. I like to think of femininity as like just being relaxed into who you are, right? The masculine energy is more of that protective energy. That's more of that, like, I'm going to run from the bear. Like, I have this energy in me to do and to function and to get things done and to run, but I don't want to live in that way all the time. And I don't want you to live in that way all the time. So I want you to be relaxed into your femininity. And it's not something that you just lose overnight. It's like, I just wasn't born with that. No, it is, you absolutely have that beautiful femininity, and you have that softness, that gentleness, that.
Cara, we just lost you again. Hello? Oh no. Okay. Let's see. Well, everybody, we're going to give Cara a minute. Hopefully, she'll be able to get back on. If you have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat. And I also did, okay, I see her. She's here. Hmm. I did want to let each of you know that there will be an email going out this afternoon with all of the information. There will be a replay, and also each one of you will be entered into a drawing. Cara and I are both giving away a 3-month membership in each one of our memberships. So we're going to be giving that away. So we're really excited. And then if you would like to get that 15-minute review with me, go ahead and drop that. You can just click on this link. I know I love giveaways. Um, so one of you said that you think that you have been in shutdown and you really want to get out of that. So there are many different opportunities to get out of that. And I want to encourage you that if you are in shutdown mode today, you don't have to stay there. That's where I was 10 years ago. And for me, it definitely was multifaceted with a gut infection combined with, I added on a really popular detox. And also, my life was extremely stressful at the time. My husband and I had planted a small church. I was homeschooling 5 children. And we also had, which I didn't know, now everybody knows this term, but then I didn't. I had a narcissistic family member. So, all of that created a body that was just ready to go into chronic stress and shut down. And so, 10 years later, I'm not there anymore. And so that is my encouragement to you is to get to the root and to identify why you are in shutdown mode and know that you do not always have to stay there. There is a way out. And I don't know if, let me see. If I know Cara has a last few things to say, but she's not coming back on. So,
Can you hear me? I am here. I can
oh,
hear
okay,
you.
good, good. Yes, there you are. I
Yeah.
was talking,
Sorry.
giving you the opportunity to come back. Okay.
Yeah, I am so sorry, you guys. I don't know what is happening here, but I'm in now. I'm going to be in a stressed state, so good thing I don't have to, experience this all day long. Um, anyway, I just want to invite you. I'm not gonna do my share screen because I feel like that is like what's sending my internet over the edge or something. But I want to just invite you when you do experience healing, when this deeper inner healing for these unhealed wounds, the things that are under the surface that you're maybe not even aware of right now, you will be able to start experiencing, where you can receive care. You feel like you can trust people that maybe you didn't like you could trust. I'm not saying that they, you robotically trust, but there is a sense of safety. It is a completely different shift. I have experienced it myself because like I shared with you, I had a major marriage disaster pain and myself in survival mode and shut down. And the way I have experienced the healing and growth myself, it's like you're a different woman. And I want you to know that is absolutely available for you to be able to live from this place where you wake up in the morning and you're excited and you don't need to drink coffee and you don't need to take a bunch of things to feel okay, right? You have natural energy and you are excited about life and you know where you're going and you're feeling calm. and fully alive, fully you again, instead of feeling like you're always trying to catch up and you're never getting there and you're exhausted. Um, so, um, yeah, I we so yes, like Amber said before, we are the giveaways we're offering. I'm offering 3 months in Restored. Really, what you need when you're needing this healing, you need support, right? You need community because when you're alone in it and you're in your own echo chamber, it's very hard to know what needs healing, and also it feels very lonely, and it can actually bring on more of the trauma, more of the pain. And so you need that healing, that coaching, that support, community. And that's what I love, that's what we're giving away, right? We're giving away memberships into our community, which is where we do all of that. So in Restored, you get access to the private community of women who are going through so much of what you're experiencing. If you're in the survival mode, and the ladies who are here from Restored, please give a shout and let us know what you love about it. You get access to my entire Femininity Restored course, which is where we dig deep into what are some of these inner wounds, right? What are some of the things that are really impacting you on a daily basis? You get weekly coaching with me, where every week you get to bring what you're going through, what you're struggling with. If you have questions, you get to get them answered, and you get to learn from the other wives as well, which is really powerful. So you also get daily healing practices. So like we talked about and Amber talked about too, that nervous system, right? These daily healing practices help you to bring safety to your nervous system so that you're not in this dysregulated state. And those are, I do those myself. I love to do the things that I offer the ladies in Restored. I still do. So yeah, the daily healing practices are great. Anyway, so we're excited. And after the workshop is over, then you will be getting an email. You'll be able to fill out the form in the email to enter the giveaway. So don't miss the emails. I'll give you a couple of chances there. And I feel like, I don't know, what am I missing? Am I missing anything? I know we're going to do a Q&A. Amber, are you still up for the Q&A?
Yeah, definitely. If you guys have any questions, just drop them in the chat and we'll answer. And Cara, you did fabulous. You rolled with that. Good
Thank you.
job. All the breathing exercises help.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
Yes. Oh wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
Chris.
so if you guys want to, go ahead.
Yeah, Kristen, you definitely hit the nail on the head. Yeah, paralyzing anxiety, overwhelm. You're not alone. And
Yeah.
I think that that is what everybody does need to hear is that you're not alone.
Yes.
Because like what Cara just said is that when you are feeling just horrible, you you definitely begin to feel alone. Cara, there's a question here I think that you should answer.
Sure, yeah. Yep. And I think there's one for you then next. So I'm having a hard time with feeling attracted to my husband when he has said awful things to me. Any suggestions? Yeah. Oh, I'm so sad. I'm so sad that that's happened. That has happened to me too. Even though my husband was a nice guy, he was also very mean at times to me. And so I get that. And you're not alone in that. Um, the first thing to do is to be with and process your own emotions, right? To be honest about that. Like I feel angry, or I feel hurt, I feel unloved, right? Name what the emotion that is, and meet yourself with the love and the compassion and the validation that you really want from him, right? I want him to give that to you too, but sometimes he's in his own stuff, right? He has his own mess, he has his own wounds, and so you can, in the meantime, you can meet yourself with that love and compassion. And that's God's voice over you too, right? He's like, I love you. I care about how you feel. I'm going to be here with you as long as you need me to, while you feel this. And that's really a great first step, because that's going to help you to stay connected and fully alive for you, right? Otherwise, we end up shoving these things down or pushing them forward and just saying, okay, well, I just have to get over it. I just have to move on or whatever. That's when the resentment creeps in. That's when the unattraction creeps in, because we're like, and we see him as the enemy, right? So it's important to really validate these things and process them in a healthy way. There's so much more that I could say about that, but I'll leave it at that for right now.
So, Kristen, what is a good supplement? And I was looking at your list of responsibilities, and you have a lot on your plate. So, my first recommendation to you is to find space every day, even if it's 5 minutes, to sit down, breathe, go for a walk in nature, because you are going to need to calm your body down. And then, what is a good supplement? My favorite is ashwagandha because it helps your body to adapt to. And so, whatever it is you're going through, and if you don't want to take an herb, the adaptive essential oil that I was referring to is great because your body just absorbs what it needs from that. And so that's what I like with herbs and essential oils because your body just absorbs what it needs. And then, Sarah, the symptoms of a gut infection. Yeah. So symptoms of gut infections are as follows. It is the bloating, it is the food intolerance, it's also a lot of other things that we usually liken to just, standard American issues like acne, eczema, just to name a few. And then how would one test? Yes. So I use functional labs with my clients to identify the exact gut infection instead of just tossing things out, right? Like last year, everybody on social media had a parasite. Everybody just thought they had parasites. But if you have a fungal infection, parasite, working with it from a parasite point of view isn't going to help for a fungal infection. I'm looking through to see if there's any more questions. When do you take ashwagandha? I really like taking it at night. But I actually, so when you are first in a state of heightened fight or flight and you're completely dysregulated, I recommend taking it every day. But you also need to identify what's causing the dysregulation because if you don't, you will just have to keep taking it. And then it becomes just like, a prescribed medicine from a doctor. And we don't want that. We want you to actually heal. But now I just keep ashwagandha in my cabinet. And then when I'm going through extreme stress, then I take it to help assist my body. But I always recommend getting to the root because if you don't get to the root, then you'll always have to keep taking it. And that's not, we don't want that for you. There's a one here. Oh, and it's the essential oil is adaptive. Adaptive. I'll put it in the comments. There's a question here for you, Cara.
Yeah. How do I stop overreacting and snapping at my kids? I do good for a few days and it feels like I just lose it. So, Jody, yes. How do you get to the root? You ask yourself, right? I want you to start meeting yourself with compassion. And it sounds like, and so many of us, we get stuck in performing, in doing. And so it's like behaviorism. I just need to change this behavior. I just need to be a better mom. So I will just keep my mouth shut and sometimes that can be helpful for a little while, but the point really isn't to stay there. Like I don't want you to just be this like that's not who you are. You're a whole person. You're not just a human doing that just needs to behave better, behave right. And so meeting yourself with compassion and saying, why am I snapping, right? Getting curious. What's going on for me? Oh, I'm tired. I didn't sleep last night. Okay, well, that makes sense. I'm so sorry, right? You're meeting yourself with love and you're saying, I'm going to take care of you. Um, and instead of judging, right? A lot of times we judge ourselves. That's the voice that we speak over ourselves is like, oh my gosh, you just never get it together. Why can't you just be a calm mom? Why can't you talk like she does to her kids? But no, like your heart needs love and compassion. And that is really what heals, right? The judgment, which is what we think. We think if we shame ourselves, if we judge ourselves enough, we'll do better. But that never works. It never does. The love and compassion is what heals, and that's what we need first.
So good. So good. Well, such great. We loved this was so much fun. Cara, thanks for doing this with me. This was fun.
Yeah, it was fantastic other than my internet.
Thank you so much for being here. Be looking for an email today. And then also, I will also contact you guys too, because we want each of you to have a chance excuse me, to enter into the giveaways and also to we just want to connect with all of you and help you to feel like yourself again and thrive in the one life that God has gifted you with because it really is a gift
Yeah.
and we want you to thrive in it. So thank you so much for being here with Cara and I today, and we look forward to connecting with each and every one of you. I hope you all have a great day. Bye.